We can't be weebs all the time. We're mixing it up today. Imagine yourself in a scenario. You have an idea for a show, and let's say you go to Netflix. Your idea is about young people. And these young people have kids, and they're surrounded by other characters. They live with these other characters because they can't afford to live by themselves. They're broke, reminiscing of the past quite a lot. And they're just going through normal parented stuff. See, on the surface, it doesn't sound like a terrible idea, but it just doesn't sound that interesting. It could probably work for one of them cheesy sitcoms, but what if you're JG Quintel, and you're responsible for arguably the best cartoon of the past decade, which was Regular Show? Now it sounds exciting, right? I'm a little late on this show. Season 2 literally came out back in February, but who cares? It's never too late to talk about something you like, and I love putting you guys onto animated shows. I want to say the show is already kind of popular because it is on Netflix, but I haven't heard much people talk about it, but I haven't really looked to see who is talking about it. So let me just shut up on that, because it's good. But I know you need more of a reason than that. First reason is Regular Show. I mentioned that this is done by the same person that created Regular Show, and well, if you like Regular Show, you would definitely like this. I almost think JG, the creator, was going for the same audience for this show. The same people. Not the exact same age group, but the same people who watch Regular Show. Just look at the art style. This is so very close to what Regular Show had. I'm sure JG Quintel is talented enough to change the art style, but I personally think he didn't want to. I think this is a deliberate choice here. He's trying to appeal to the same people. Regular Show started more than a decade ago, so how do you appeal to the same people? Why not have a character that you can actually relate to? He gave us Josh and Emily, a young couple transitioning into their 30s, but still kind of stuck in their past, wondering where life went, but at the same time, they're content with what they have. These two are actually really good main characters. They're stupid, immature, but they focus on the right things for the most part, which is their child. While a lot of you who probably did watch Regular Show may not have kids of your own or your own place, shout out to you if you do, you can still relate in a way. Josh and Emily sometimes wonder about the past, things they used to do, and how life could have went. And of course, these episodes do these cliche endings where they realize that the past is the past and they wouldn't change a thing, but it's done very well. And it's a fun time as the episodes go on. And that's pretty much the overarching storyline, or motivator should I say, because there isn't really much of a storyline here. This is an episodic series. But you slowly get to know these characters more and more in each episode in episode 1. So all I've told you is that this is a cool show of good character motivators. Surprise, surprise, of course it's gonna have that. But there's definitely more to it than that. I don't want to call this a more mature Regular Show, because they're different, but they definitely have their similarities. I've described this show as some sort of down-to-earth, wholesome comedy, but no. This show can definitely get a little bit weird, and it takes you by surprise. Mind if I go into minor spoiler territory for a second? In season 1, Emily and Josh and their friends, which we'll get to later by the way, because the friend characters definitely have a lot of character, they all go to a bar. It's more of a club, and they're trying to persuade themselves that they can still party, and party all night at that. Sounds okay so far, but here's the twist. The club kills older people. Why? Just because they're older. The victim flies into the air and then they meet their demise. If the supernatural elements weren't in this show, it would honestly still be very entertaining. It really just is a cherry on top. The bizarreness makes it a lot more fun. This is one of them shows where I believe that they focus on the story and characters before they even write in the comedy. Because even if it didn't have the comedy or it didn't have that bizarreness or the supernatural elements, the story and the characters are already well established to even go forward with it. So I give them props for that. Alright, so in season 1, the main focus really is just Emily and Josh. Most of the episodes revolve around them and them growing as a couple, different scenarios for every single episode. Them overcoming insecurities, overcoming things that may still hold them in the past. Really, these two just need therapy, but what main characters don't? So season 1 isn't all perfect. The only issues I had with season 1 is that the characters around them kinda just exist. A lot of the time they just use as plot devices or they just get some extra dialogue. Even when their kid talks, it doesn't really add too much, and she kinda just comes across weird. Outside of the mains, they're just plot devices or motivators. There is an episode where Emily meets one of the other kids' parents from our daughter's school, and this character was honestly one of the highlights throughout the whole season, and she was only a one-off character. She was more remembered than any of the side characters that were there, but that was only just season 1, and of course there will always be a season 2. Now season 2 is a lot more interesting to me in my opinion. The reason why I didn't really talk about the other characters is because they're not really worth speaking on. But in season 2, yeah, they're more than just people around the main. There is no main characters in season 2. We get to see all of the characters in a much better light. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to spoil the show, but each character gets put in their own scenario to go through and we just see them in uncomfortable situations, and if you know my favorite saying, if you want to see growth from your characters, you gotta put them in uncomfortable situations, and that happens a lot here. It remains to be funny and it still has the supernatural elements which complements the episodes very well, learning more about their backstories and their past, and it's just showing how much they are just good people deep down. Even Candace gets her own little arc. They even gave her a Boondocks chocolate selling episode with hot sauce. Even the characters outside the main cast get more to them, and trust me, that's a good thing. because these characters are all weird and strange in their own little way. It's what makes this world very interesting. So now the show is just offering more than just 2 cool characters. You get a whole bunch of characters and even more weird and supernatural elements. The only issue with season 2 is that the ideas were so good, they only had 10 minutes to have a beginning, middle, and end, and some of these ideas definitely could have been one full episode. I was so tuned into certain parts. Just get rid of the 2 story in 1 episode formula and just do a Rick and Morty or a Family Guy and just have 1 full episode. I think once they do that, they could definitely reach beyond new heights. Some of the episodes in season 2 definitely felt like cliffhangers, and I really hope we get a continuation in season 3 or in other seasons in the future. So that's why I think you should watch Close Enough. It's a fun show with an amazing world and characters. It's funny, it's colourful, and the art style is just super friendly to the eyes with a familiar feeling. The voice actors do a really good thing here with these characters, but I ain't really touched an animated show with bad voice acting. That isn't anime, just don't kill me for saying that. But yeah, go watch it. The trailer's in the description. It is on Netflix, so what do you have to lose? I really hope this show gets more of a fan base as time goes on, and I'll see you guys in the future.